Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Art of the Game over here at Cabbit Crossing. And this is where us game masters share our advice, tips, tricks, experiences with gaming over the years, and do a little debating too sometimes on different topics. Today's brain's nugget of creative sparks of lightning in the brainstorm. The topic we're talking about today is building memorable NPCs. So, who wants to start off?
Me.
Go for it.
Go ahead, Greg. You can
go. I mean, I know some general things. Don't make them just a typical person. Find something interesting about them. Something that makes a person interesting. Don't go human every time, but I don't know. Make them. The biggest thing is the interaction with the party needs to have some fruit to that for them to become interesting. Like, why are they hanging out with the party? What they do with the party? What they give them? What the party do for them? You know, that kind of thing. The interaction with the party is obviously a thing that's going to make them memorable, right? So it has to be something around that. But I don't know. Do you guys have some more specific?
Well, I think that it has a lot to do with giving them personality, right? And kind of like, you know, think of it, if it's not easy for everybody because not everyone's an actor. I mean, like, for example, I don't do voices, right? But I don't think you have to do voices necessarily to make them memorable. It's like, if you can kind of think of these characters as like, this is a person, right? And if they have certain interesting defining traits or something about them that makes them somewhat unique, if you can kind of build on that, and maybe sometimes you have to take notes on who these characters are, right? Some people have to do that, right? We had this so in the last episode we talked about this relationship one of my players had with he's an orc who's hooking up with a Cyclops high priestess, which is like in this culture, I basically set up as kind of racist, where like, no, you're not allowed to have, you know, relationships outside, especially not with a lesser species, right? So she's doing this, and it's kind of like an open secret in their society. Like, she gets away with it up to a point because of the parties helped them so much. But it's like so many people are looking down on her for this. And there was this part where we had a wizard character traveling with them who was helping them kind of build portals between universes to help the Cyclops escape their island. And the hero character who's hooking up with the Cyclops has a superior sense of smells. He's like, you know, oh, I smell this thing out there. He's like kind of like Wolverine. And then the other Cyclops who's with him, he goes, all I smell is shame. And so things like that, you know, building interesting personality quirks and habits and things like that really help these characters be memorable. And there was a point where the character's like, oh, we should get that guy back, right? Like he kind of became somebody who's actually part of the story for them. And it was kind of important.
But you also have to juxtaposition that against people who aren't quirky. Like, if everyone's quirky in some way in your campaign, no one's going to stand out, right? You really do want to have a decent amount of NPCs they don't interact very much with, be very kind of normalish. It makes the one that comes with a quirk that's quirky in some way really stand out, you know?
Well, not everybody has to be quirky. I mean, like, it's like some people are just all business and professional, and that's okay. You know?
Yep. Exactly.
It's like the general, the military man that they're dealing with, the guy that's the captain of the guard. They have to be serious because that's their job, is to be serious, and it's okay to play the type. You know, stereotypes exist for a reason, and people kind of expect it. If you go against it, sometimes it breaks the immersion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had a character Monster of the Week one time. I had these different hunters that I made real briefly, and one was just a total goofball character and a wannabe monster hunter, basically. But he was kind of funny whenever I played him, and it super annoyed one of the characters. He's just like, "Oh God, go away!" And the other characters like, you know, they thought it was funny. So I'm like, "Yeah, this guy's gonna keep popping up over and over again."
Yeah. Well, but something like that. Also, I think if I point out, it's like sometimes what makes an NPC memorable is how they end. Because, like, in that particular case, you've got a character who's behaving out of character for the circumstances he's in, right? Yeah, he's a joker. He thinks is funny, but it's funny until it's not, right? And if that character, his attitude gets him killed, that's going to be really memorable, and that defines elements of the story going forward, right? And it helps to set the tone, and so.
Yeah. So what I kind of do when I put NPCs together, a few things I do that might help people out, perhaps, is one thing I always do is I have a list of random names of whatever species or and gender and different genders that I expect are going to happen that are appropriate to whatever setting we're talking about, and like 100 or so of each gender or whatever. And that way, whenever they run into somebody I don't have a name for, it's a background character, I can look it up real quick and come up with something. And then I'll just kind of have to improv from there and flesh out the character as it makes sense.
Marks, it is considered acceptable standards and practices for GMs to not have names ready to go.
Oh, you can't have names for everybody. Because to me, there's these background characters that are kind of nameless. They aren't really supposed to do much, but be there. But then a player will interact sometimes. So that's just a message, GM. It's like,
oh my god,
hey, you over here, how you doing?
Yeah,
what's your name?
No, I have a guy that does that. He'll come up, he'll walk up to a carpenter and go, okay, Woody, what's his name? And I was like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, that's why I have that. And I find
using up your whole list.
Yeah, a lot of times when you put a name to somebody, it starts to help flesh them out in your head a little bit.
I actually some of the best NPCs and most memorable NPCs are random NPCs I didn't expect it to be that way, and that is why whenever you have an NPC show up, feel free to try something. I've tried things that have completely flopped, and I never had them show up again because it was so bad. Right? Like I had a guy come with a list, and he's like, "This is how I talk. I just talk like this. I'm gonna," and it didn't work out at all. Or whatever the hell I was trying to do. People are just like, "This is weird." So never showed up. But then
that's why you bring it back, Greg, because they don't like it.
But wasn't it if they don't like a guy, that's actually a good thing in some ways. The thing was they didn't care. They were like, I wish this guy would just like go away. I don't care about him. But the apathy is the worst. But at the other end, I had this halfling show up who was riding a carriage, and they asked him to get somewhere quick. And the guy took out a cigar, and he's like, "I've been waiting for this," and he just started running through the streets with his carriage, knocking things over. And they loved him. They actually like got his number, not his number, but they like found out who he was, so they could always call on him with the sending spell, I think, to get him to take him to get him to take him places. So I
think the memorability of NPCs also kind of falls into the category of like we talked about this before, obviously, but like there's no way to know which NPCs are actually going to be the ones that players react to, and there's no way to know which ones are going to survive, right? And so one of the first things a GM should probably figure out, whether they're told this or not, is that you don't waste time on stat blocks for a character who's not going to be around a while, right? So the ones that get stat blocks. Well, for any game, like the ones you make stat blocks for are the ones that survive that first encounter. And then,
I mean, especially for games where you can come up with it in your head if you need to, for most people, right?
Totally. Yeah. And if you, because like, you're just kind of, you're trying stuff, right? You're like, okay, well, this guy acts this way, this guy acts this way. But then like when some character kind of like bites, then at that, like you can start developing that character and figure out more about their personality, who they are. And sometimes that's actually informed by the interaction with the players. And if you're looking for ways to make characters memorable, like look at how your players interact with them, right? And that can sometimes really define it. Because like the situation we talked about the last episode, where one of my players decided he wants to hit on a Cyclops high priestess, like that that interaction and that interest of his basically told me everything I needed to know about how to do the portrayal of this NPC. And everybody in her orbit are now affected by it, right? To the point where there's like all this mileage in the story that's come from it. And so like your players are just as much of a participant in figuring out what this means as you as a GM.
So what I also do with NPCs is I have background ones, which that's just like random. If somebody talks to them, then I figure out their name and go from there. Then I might have secondary ones, supporting ones, and then like primary ones, where I know like there might be like primary ones are ones that might get in a fight with them or something, right? Supporting characters. So I might stat those out. Those aren't very often, but I might stat them out fully. And the secondary.
I stat out if I feel like a person needs a unique ability, that's when I start statting them out. If they don't have a unique ability, I don't bother because you can do it in your head.
Yeah. Well, it was secondary. And what I find a lot, like from Cobalt Press, for example, or their modules or something like that, I think is a good idea. Is they'll have like a very brief like description of like their features and stuff, and then they have personality traits, bonds, flaws, wants. That gives you everything you need really for a character's personality, and then whatever is relevant
background thing.
Yeah, and then whatever's relevant to the story, that information that might be able to share or abilities might be used. Of course, those are usually just an NPC class, like a commoner or a whatever, whatever type. So, just having a few traits, even just like a more simple version of, I can't remember what game it was now, but they'll just have like 3 like words about a character, like a personality, maybe physical trait or something in there, just to give you an idea of what they are in case you need to do something with them more. Just to give you something to work with.
Yeah, I mean, in D&D, they have 5e. They have that bonds and flaws thing.
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, Cobalt Press uses.
Yeah,
and they do a pretty good job with it. It really does give you a lot to work on
it. I was going to say this actually applies to players too, so maybe there's a different video. But when it comes to memorability, it's almost like you have to build rapport with each other, with NPCs, or the NPCs with the players, stuff like that. And one way that you do it is often through comedy. I would say 80, 90% of the time, almost 100% of the time, comedy is why that becomes memorable at first, right? And then later, once comedy is a way that you can really get to like someone in a way. And then once you get an attachment to someone, that's when drama can happen, like really good drama, because now they care about that person, right?
Yeah.
I think Critical Role had this thing. That's why their first campaign was so good, because they started out like it was funny, but then you realize you actually kind of care about the characters too after a bit. Their second season kind of had that, where one character was funny and then everyone liked that character, and then they had serious stuff. And then third campaign, it's like everyone's funny now. And so it kind of took it away, and one person was just drama from the beginning. And I don't think you can do that. I think one good is not a surefire thing. Like I would say it's like 90% of the time, if it's something that people at the table are laughing at, it's probably going to make them memorable. And then once you get there, like I had Kaboom be like this little gnome that loves explosives, and he gets carried around by like a half giant on his back. And one of the main baddies sent the players the head of the half giant, like sent it to him as a package.
Yikes!
And they had to be the ones to break it to the Kaboom, the gnome, right?
Yeah.
So it was fun at first because they love that guy. He's like, yeah, I'm going to blow everything up. And it's great, right?
Yeah.
But then that happened, right? And that actually causes drama. Players go, oh, shit, wow. And they wouldn't have that if they didn't like him in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, I think that it also is helpful as well when you have a player who is maybe relatively new or a little awkward or shy, right? And so, some people are just there. They're just going through the process. They're not really like role playing in the classic sense. But if you go to the effort for these people and like go out of your way to have NPCs communicate with them, right? You can potentially make it a little easier for them to kind of get comfortable with it too. It can actually, help. It aside from just the narrative value of it, it also can because it's kind of like the idea that like the first person on the call sheet sets the tone for the set. And that also applies to the game master, right? And so you can actually kind of help, like because the game is really as I mean, you want the players to be having a good time, but it's it's as serious as you make it as a game master, and you want to find that balance. But I think it actually helps for the enjoyment of the players if you kind of like lean into it a little bit yourself, and certainly be helpful when you have somebody that maybe doesn't get into the spirit of it as easily. Have the players, the NPCs, making them a little chatty, make it, interaction. Maybe rather than going to a shop and like, hey, here's my gold, give me that sword. Maybe make it a little bit of a, conversation. Maybe this sword has, some history behind it, and the person wants to talk about it, right? And allow the players to come in and haggle a little bit. You don't want to, obviously that easily turns into 2 hours of shopping, and sometimes that's game night. But
They like shopping. They like shopping.
Yeah, but these are a lot of times, like, you kind of look at, where do the players interact with NPCs? It's at the tavern, it's at the shop, and there will be other places, but those are kind of two of the main areas, and that's where you get it started.
Another technique I do to do the exact same thing you're talking about is if there's like some scene going on and three players are always involved. They're in that scene. They're dealing with it. They're doing something, let's say goofy in this case. I often have like an NPC walk up to the person who's not involved and start talking to them, even to make fun of the other players.
like whatever they want over there. What is all this?
Yeah.
But and there's also another idea too that I was just thinking of, is that, like, people watch television, and TV is very good at making every character in the show distinct from everybody else, which is, of course, absolutely reflects real life, as we all know. But but you can also look at, like, if there's a show you really like, I wouldn't say anime, because anime is way over the top, but like, if you look at, there's a TV show you like. Yeah, that's true. And you're really into the characters, you could just simply make, okay, well, this guy is Spike Spiegel. This guy is, the one of the detectives from Law and Order. This guy is, like, I don't know, whatever it is, right? Like, but you can actually, because if you're familiar with these characters you like, Archetypes. It's very easy.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's that?
Archetypes type thing.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. But like if there's a show you like and there's these certain characters in the show, you will have an easier time kind of emulating those characters, and maybe that's your starting point. Like in the Gamers 2, when the Brian Lewis character, he deliberately goes, okay, well, I'm going to be Robert Stack, and so if you watch his performance, he's doing Robert Stack throughout the whole thing, and when he's playing the monk, and it's and you can do the same thing as well.
Yeah.
When you're trying to create an NPC, it doesn't have to. It shouldn't come from nowhere, because, like, writers write what they know. The same thing applies to running a game.
Yeah, it's good shorthand, quick way to do it. Just don't make it too obvious unless you want to for comedic reasons.
Yeah. But, you can mix and match.
And you should check out our other episode on finding sources of inspiration.
Yes, comic books.
That's what you said.
That's what I said. Yeah,
I gave the AI answer.
Yes, you did. I'm actually surprised you haven't suggested AI.
You said AI, or did you say what the AI told you to say? It's the AI answer.
I said I.
Yeah.
I.
Yeah.
And books and TV shows and movies and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
all of it.
Yeah,
all
like you can have a Han Solo type, and
Han Solo.
Yeah, or Han Solo too.
That's what I did last night.
Yeah. Good Lord, Greg. See, that's you play the straight man so well, and then that comes out of you.
Should we end on that?
Let's end on that. So,
I don't know.
I'm wrap up now. All right, thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah, because Greg brought down the room.
Well, I hope we gave you some good tips and tricks on how to build NPCs. Let us know about how you create NPCs. Are there some games out there that have a way to do NPCs that's interesting, perhaps that we can learn from? And then feel free to share stories of your favorite NPCs. That'd be awesome. So thanks again for watching, and until next time,
give this on
NPC it.
When the dice roll high, we touch the sky.